let's get growing, and we're here again, which is really good. It's the end of August, start of September, and it's been a funny summer really weather-wise. August we've had quite a lot of rain and not much sun, but things are growing and it's all starting to look a little bit autumnal. That's our Dill's that giant Atlantic pumpkin. So what we're going to do today is, because it's autumn, it's a very good time to start collecting, saving our seeds. So we're going to have a little wander. We're here at Wildflowers garden, so we're going to have a wander around and see what we can find, what seeds we can find. And it's quite a big subject, but I just want to recommend this book to you if anybody's really interested and wants to do a bit more research themselves. So this is called the Seed Saver's Handbook, and it's by Jeremy Cherfas, and it focuses on saving vegetable seeds mainly, and it goes by family and tells you a little bit of the history of seed saving. So it's very, very useful. This is mainly how I learnt to save my own seeds, so I would highly recommend it. So let's go and see what we can find. So we're going to start by collecting a few flower seeds for next year, and we've grown calendulas, so I thought I'd show you about how to save calendula seeds to start with. You need a little bit of equipment, not much. I've just got some tubs and I've got some labels that I can put in each tub, and I've got a pair of secateurs, but a pair of scissors will probably do, yeah. So what I'm looking for on these calendulas, there's a lot of seeds here. This looks good to me because it's quite dark coloured in there, so that looks quite nice and bright. So I'm just going to cut that off, and then the seeds you would actually find inside here. So they're a funny shaped seed, and they're nice and dark coloured, so they're kind of ready to harvest. This is I think it's called the chaff that's around it. We don't really need that. So I've ended up with a few nice seeds there. And the best thing to do is, if you've got a few plants, is to collect seed from a few different plants, and you've got a different genetic kind of makeup, and it's better for plant biodiversity. There's lots of seeds here. So to save you time when you're doing it, you can just collect the heads up and you can sort them out later. And if they're like this and they're not quite right, I just leave them a bit longer and just collect the ones that are nice and dried. So we've got them in our tub. A few more, and then I'm just going to pop my calendula label in the tub for now, so I know what's what. Okay, so that's the calendula. Let's see what else we can find. And the next thing that I've noticed is these chives look like they're ready to harvest. So I'm just gonna, and with some plants you have to get things quite quickly, otherwise they're gonna shed their seeds. So yeah, they're perfect. Look at that. Just tap that. They're onion family, so they're like little onion seeds, and I'm going to try and get some from a few different plants again. And again, to save you time, if you want, I just did that to kind of demonstrate what you can do is you can just cut off, if you're totally sure they're ready, cut off a few seed heads. And you can just leave them in there and they'll come out themselves. And again, especially if you're new to it, you want a label. So I've got my chives label, and I'll put that in there. I'm going to go and have a look for some wildflowers now. So we've found some wildflowers that we planted by the pond, and these look nice. I'm ready to collect, so they've gone kind of a browner colour. So I've got some poppies here. Again, I can just turn it to see if I don't know if you can see that, but there is some little tiny seeds coming out, so they're ready. So I'm just going to cut a few heads. I mean, you could save these individually if you wanted and label them poppies, but I'm just going to get a few wildflowers and do like a seed mix. You have to be quick with poppies because once they open, that's it. Set them to seed themselves, so you can hear them coming out. So just leave them in there, and then these are some corn cockles here. I think these look about perfect. So these have got bigger black seeds. Maybe if I missed them. Let's have a look. Thought there was some in there, but they might have gone. Oh no, there is. So they've got big. You have to wash your hands after you've touched these because poisonous. So they're perfect, so I'll get a few more of them. Notice some hollyhocks here, and these look like ripe. They look perfect. And anything that's like a biannual, like a hollyhock or a foxglove or clary sage, you can actually sow it now and grow some young plants which will hopefully flower for you next year. And some plants like angelica, you have to have, the seed has to be ripe for it to germinate, so they're nice. So I'd probably sow these straight away and get a few more, making sure I'm getting a few from the different plants if possible. So I had some questions about when to save sunflower seeds. I'm just looking at ours, and I don't think that any of them are ready yet to be cut off. The flowers died back. You can see the seeds in there, but I think they need to dry on the plant a bit longer. It's a difficult one because squirrels love to eat them, so you kind of have to gauge how long you can leave them before something else eats them. What you could do is you could cut a seed head. I mean, it's better drying it on the plant, but you could cut like a seed head that you think is nearly ready, and you could hang that up, you know, dry, warm place, and see what your seeds end up being like. But personally, I would probably wait a while with that one. So in terms of saving vegetable seeds, there's a few sort of general rules, and you don't want to save anything that you grew that's an F1 seed, because it won't come true to seed. So often I don't bother saving pumpkin seeds because some of ours will be F1s and I get confused over which is which, so I just buy pumpkin seeds. And it's probably better to buy courgette seeds in as well, because there's been recent problems with sort of poisonous courgettes from people that have saved their own seed. One of the easiest plants is the bean family, is legumes, saving seeds. So these are arbolotti beans, and you can see them here, and this one is already dried, so I can show you what this one, so the beans look like that, the immature beans in there. So these are too young to save. You could eat these, but I wouldn't be saving them yet. I'd be leaving them on the plant longer. But we've got another one here that has been here for longer, and you can see the difference in the colour. So this has gone purple, and then we'll look at what the seeds are like inside, and they're quite a lot different. And these are ready to save, really. I would probably pick them and just not open them, just leave them to dry out a bit longer. And that's the case with broad beans and French beans, so you just leave them on the plant as long as you can to dry naturally, and then bring them in before the winter frosts. So here are some cos lettuces, and they're the last of the harvest, and what I like to try and do is to leave a plant or 2 or 3, there's a few here, and let them go to seed, and then we can collect the seed and use it again next year. These aren't ready to collect yet, but you can see that they're all growing up tall, and they've got like their flower heads. It'll be good for the bees as well. But what the lettuce, it gets a white, like fluffy, feathery sort of seed, so it's important to collect them at the right place. But even if you don't, you end up with some lettuces springing up in your garden next year if you don't manage to collect the seed. So I've collected and I've labelled my seeds, and I'm just going to leave them in the polytunnel until I'm confident that they're fully dried out. And then what I would do before the weather gets too wet and too cold is I'll put them into envelopes, and I will date them as well, so I know when I've collected them. The ones that, some of them I will sow. Jacob's Ladder's a perennial, I'm going to sow that. I'm going to sow the hollyhocks, and I'll probably sow the chives as well, but the others I'll save for next spring. So, and storing them is really important. So, talking of saving your own seeds, so you should have in your pack a packet of Nottingham Catchfly. So these were seeds that we saved from our Nottingham Catchfly plants. So this is what Nottingham Catchfly looks like. So it's Notts' county flower, official county flower. It's a wildflower from the Campion family, and it's flowers. It's obviously not flowering, but it's got it's night scented, so it attracts moths. So if you attract moths to your garden, then you'll probably also get bats as well. And so these plants have just been reintroduced to the castle. They've got quite a lot of heritage value for Nottingham. So what we thought we'd do, we've been involved a little bit in sending some plants to the castle. So we thought what we'd do is try and get you lot growing them and distributing them around Bulwell. So we saved some seeds, and these are ones that we sowed a few weeks ago. But you should all have a packet of these. So the first thing you need to do is sow them. So I've just got a little seed tray here. The seeds are quite tiny. I'm just going to scatter them on top of my compost. Not quite fit in there, does it? Cover them up just with a very, very small amount of compost. Make sure they're nicely pressed down. I'm going to put a label on, and they'll get water. So the idea is when these grow, you can pick them out and you can give all your family and friends the plants. Let's try and get loads of Nottingham Catchfly growing around Bulwell, would be nice. And then finally, obviously you could sow some of your biennials and perennials now if you wanted to, and let us know how you're getting on with that. Finally, in your pack you should have either, it's up to you, you can choose a rainbow chard plant, or I think it's an Offenham cabbage. And the idea with these is that we're going to show you how to grow some greens for the winter, sort of late winter, early spring, or you could have them as like microgreens. So you should have one plant of your choice, and then what you need to do with these is just to pot them on into a bigger pot. Just being careful. This is a chard, not to disturb the roots. Hopefully this will be a bit of scarce greenery to eat during the winter months. Don't have to think about them yet. And then a label and a water. And I think that's it for today's Let's Get Growing. So glad to be back and happy growing.